Hello everyone and welcome back to EXA Season 10 Division 1 for the 4th round of the season, and we are here at the most famous and historic circuit on the calendar, the Monaco Grand Prix. The circuit is just over 2 miles with 19 turns, 8 to the left and 11 to the right, with a single DRS zone down the main straight to complete the circuit. It is filled with barriers, tight complexes, fast chicanes, with millimetres of separating you from winning a race scenario to a disastrous retirement. It remains one of the toughest challenges in our sport, alongside one of the Triple Crown races of the Indy 500 and a 24 Hours of Le Mans, who will etch their name into history tonight. EXA have only held one previous Monaco Grand Prix in Division 1, which was held back in Season 4, where Kellerman Guri took victory. Who can be the second person to claim victory here? We're about to find out, but we've got some things to go through. First, last time out in Kota, that's the wrong week, Kota, we had Luca Rapassa take victory and his second victory of the season to extend his championship lead, while Tony Piatella took second place. Larry Tolke took home the final podium spot ahead of Angelo D'Ortenzio and Liam Stevens, who ran at the top 5. Pascal Manelli, Thomas Cockney, Valentino Labella, Diego Sorzo, Jensen and Jensen Rosen ran at the top 10, with Sergio Sabrina, Tom Roberts, Vortex Steg, Alexander Colvero and Florian Pavanzelta all taking points paying positions. However, Pavanzelta did retire before, so was unable to score a point. This leaves us with the driver standing looking a little bit like this after Kota. Luca Rapassa leads the way by 26 points ahead of Diego Zorzo, while Tony Piatella just sits on the same number of points as the Spaniard, but sits behind based on countback. Larry Tolke sits in 4th ahead of Thomas Cockney, while Jensen Rosen sits in 6th position. Liam Stevens, Valentino Labella, Gabriel Quinto and Angelo D'Ortenzio complete the top 10 in the standings, while in the constructors' standings, Red Bull lead the way with just 2 points separating them between them and Haas, while Mercedes sit a 14 point further back from Haas in P3. Williams sitting 4th ahead of Alpine and Ferrari, while Aston Martin and McLaren sitting 7th and 8th. RB and Sauber both have scored points, both Sauber needing to put some inroads in to catch and not be at the bottom of the pile for too long. I'm your commentator, Jamie Jackson, and I'll be taking you through proceedings tonight, and we are going to shortly get into qualifying. It is Monaco. It is a night-time race. There we go. The drivers are just getting themselves prepped now. We are just waiting for everything to go. Everything is clear, and we should be getting going shortly. But hello everyone who is here tonight. We are back for an exciting battle for the championship and for race victory. It's a very difficult circuit. We've seen a number of drivers over the years take in mainline Formula 1 find the difficulty of this circuit with the walls being so close, and it really, every single corner has claimed someone or another at some stage in multiple times, if anything. But anyway, we have got we should have 20 drivers. We only have 18, but we are waiting for these drivers to just get themselves going. Everything seems to be prepped. We're just going to keep an eye on it and make sure everything is okay. But we will be going for what looks to be a night race tonight. And if it is going to be wet, that's going to make it 10 times better. We'll see. Loads of different nationalities brought out on the drivers tonight, on the grid, and a number of drivers who can really just show the true pace of this field. We're going to see who can really take the fight to Luca Rapassa in the championship lead, or will it be the opportunity of Luca Rapassa to extend his points lead? He's a ridiculously good driver, but can anyone catch him and topple him? These drivers are all very close, but it is a very different circuit to anything all these drivers have probably driven on in this season, or for the rest of the season, if anything. Haven't driven here since Season 4, so unless these drivers had been were here in that season, or one of the lower divisions, if they have made their way up, I don't think we even had it in any of the other divisions really. Maybe once or twice throughout our time in our 10 seasons. So if they were in Division 1 in Season 4, they will certainly at least have some form of knowledge of how it works around here. However, it is going to be a very different ball game compared to however that was a couple of years ago. We are into qualifying now, and everyone is getting themselves sorted and prepared for what is to come. We have a number of drivers just getting themselves all ready. UDP's all working, so that is all good. We are getting ourselves ready. At least everyone. At least we are into the session now, so we will be seeing what these drivers can do in this qualifying format. We'll just check everything is working. I hope audio is all good. If it is not, I will change anything that needs to be changed, but it should be okay. We will go and get ourselves sorted for that one. That's what we need. Who is the first out on circuit? It will be a Haas of either Kendon Lott or Tony Hiertella. We'll try Tony. It's Tony Hiertella, the person who was the first, other than the host and myself, into the lobby, and is the first out on track. Certainly a man who was prepared while everyone else was looking to try and sort of basically get those last extra laps in TT, or eating, or whatever they decide to do. I like to go with the rule that they're all a bunch of sweats and they all decide we want to go for those extra laps. Those extra minuscule seconds, those extra thousands, those extra hundreds you can find in any corner could make the massive difference, especially in a qualifying session, which is so significant to the result of the race. You do not want to be stuck behind any rival. But the whole point as well of a 2-stop mandatory race, which we will see in this more than we will in real F1, is just how it could actually work. The 2-stop should certainly help some drivers. They will be trying to change the strategy a bit, doing massive overcuts, massive undercuts to try and get themselves out of groups. But we'll see how much of a difference that makes. So we should get a full grid in by the end of this, as we go through the order. We've got one more driver. We should be able to get someone in. We're waiting. We have massive load of reserves in space. We just no one's prepared. So here we go. We'll take ourselves through a lap of Monaco through into Sandbach, catching the wall on the exit. Don't want to be doing that in the race. While in qualifying, it is okay. You don't want to be doing that in the race because you'll be getting yourself excessive tyre wear. Now through the casino section now into the left and the right, keeping it nice and early, but gets touching on the wall again. Now down towards the couple of hairpins on this circuit into the slowest speed corner on the circuit, and it is just a block of the rear brakes to get the car around the corner as quickly as possible. Now through double right hander as we head into the tunnel. Can Tony Hiertella keep it as clean as anything? He has kept it valid so far, but this is a nice tricky places to keep it valid. Into the Nouvelle chicane, bounces across the curb, just missing the walls on the apex. The walls are the apex in this. As we go through to back, keeping it nice and tidy through the swim pool chicanes, getting us a Sauber in front, keeping hitting those walls. These drivers will not care about these soft tyres by the end of this qualifying session. Into Raskas for the final time. On the exit we go, up the gears. What time will we do? It is a 1 minute 7.5 from the Haas. It is going to be an exciting session here. We're going to see some next drivers come across the line to start their flying laps. And we will go on with Luca Rapassa, who is currently on a lap. Our championship leader is going through the tunnel section now. Can the Red Bull further prove themselves to be one of the best in the grid, or will they find themselves struggling to do what needs to be done around such a difficult circuit? We're going to go through to back now, carting the wall again. Now we're going to the swim pool chicane, just keeping it nice and tidy. These walls are going to be what matters. It's a Sauber off in the wall. That's Lucas Shea, who's gone into the barriers and completely out the session. Bundenziki in the Mercedes as well, but also out of this one. Meanwhile, the Red Bull 1 minute 8.2 couldn't quite match Tony Hiertella, who goes 7 tenths quicker than the Red Bull championship leader. These drivers are going to be pushing the limits. Can they push the limits that far tonight? Everyone else coming across the line to try and beat the Haas's time at the top of the timesheets. No one quite managing to do it yet, but is Diego Zorzo managing to do so? Doesn't quite. 1 minute 8.1 from the Mercedes. It's an excellent lap from the Haas, the opening lap nonetheless. We will go to Nelson Alves, who is currently invalidated. So Liam Stevens is next, also invalidated. I believe he'll go in for another run in a second. Tamas Cockney is going to go through the to back corner, hit the wall. Just got to maximise as much as you can. But these drivers are going to use every ounce and more if they can use it. If they're using the wall to help slow them down, if they know how they can do that, that is what they're going to try and play. They're all going to be trying to play the same game. So who can play the game the best? We will go through towards the line. It is only at 1 minute 8. Well, it's P6. That's a very decent position, but only at 8.3 compared to a 7.5. A short circuit like this, in that sort of gap already, is a very quite substantial thing in this day and age for how close this league is going to normally be 4 times. Having that gap over all your rivals so far, while we still have 5 drivers yet to set a time, 6 once someone else I think got one more person coming in as well. But with that in mind, it's going to be a very difficult job for people to try and match him. Gianluca Nolov doesn't go against the tobacco. Maybe finding that keeping it clean is the better line for him as we go through Raskas now and up towards the final corner. Through the final corner, keeping it nice and tidy there. Very tidy lap. But is that going to be enough? It's going to be a 1 minute 8.8 plus some P12. So it does look like the wall hitting strategies is going to be certainly the plan here tonight. These drivers are going to be pushing the limits. Gabor Santos goes P2 for 7.9 in the Red Bull. That is an excellent job there from Santos. He moves himself ahead of Diego Zorzo and Luca Rapassa. The 2 of them are very much our 3 of our 4 championship leaders. They're kind of in reverse chronological order, with Luca Rapassa in 4th, Diego Zorzo in 3rd. First, Tony Hirtella and those 3 are going to be trying to either extend or reduce the gap between themselves. We'll go to Liam Stevens, who will be next across the line, but he's invalidated, so it will be Thomas. Oh, that's a massive load of that is a massive load of front wing damage from the Ferrari. Decides to just spin it around, get rid of those tyres. They don't want them anymore anyway. And that is the first runs done, I believe. Everyone else completely done with their runs. They've pushed the car to the absolute limit, and now they're just going to wait until the final moments of qualifying to go out again, if anything. Except unless you are Thomas Laminen, who is going to provide us a little bit of entertainment with the Alpine. Currently in P8, 1 minute 8.4 on the timesheets. Got a couple temps between him and P3, so he can certainly make that time up if he pushes for it. We will go through the casino section down to those airpin, and then we go into the size corner of the circuit, the hotel airpin. Christ on a bike, how much do these drivers really want to push that? And he decided he didn't want any more part in that. Oh, that is a very interesting line from some of these drivers tonight. This will be very fun to watch, because this is what these drivers will try and push. They're trying to push the absolute limits of this circuit and the car and what this game allows. So we'll be seeing whether these drivers can really pull something out of the bag here. The walls are your friend and your enemy at this time. Oh, I do apologise. Let me just have a look and see what we need. And we need just a couple drivers just waiting before. Well, we're just now waiting for everyone to start going on another lap. We've got currently drivers going out on their out laps. I believe it will be Pascal Ranelli become the next driver to start a lap unless Thomas decides to go for one. Thomas is going to go for one, so stay on with him. We'll wait for him to go for another lap. Thomas Laminen, P8 again. He's gonna go through into the Sandavot, keeps it nice and tidy, clips the wall on the exit, but seems to be the fastest line through there. Thomas Laminen through Casino Square now. Don't want to be touching any walls through here except that exit wall you can be okay with, but he taps it with that rear corner 200ths up on his personal best, and apparently fastest sector 1. Massive again loss into the braking zone. He's running some ridiculously high rear brake bias, and unfortunately that is led to him completely losing the car for a second run in a row, and that is very unfortunate for him. We'll go to Pascal Ranelli, who is going to be the next driver to attempt the lap. 600s up, coming at 18.0. Fastest sector 1 according to our track map. We'll see whether he can manage it, and he decides to go through the rest of the lap, try and keep it clean as we go into the tunnel now. He's going to keep it nice and tidy as he go through the tunnel. Got to use all that ERS now and use all that speed that you may have built up in the start of sector 2 and invalidated at the Nouvelle chicane, and that is a very, very unfortunate job for the Ferrari, and now they will have to go again to try and improve that P10 position. Currently a second off of pole. Who is going to be the next driver to set a lap time? It will probably be our championship leader Luca Rapassa. I don't think, unless Tamas is that one. Nope, he is not. So we're going to continue on with Luca Rapassa. Currently 800s up in the first 2 sectors. Are they going to manage to put the lap time in? Karting again against the wall on the exit of the chicane. Goes through. Raskas now just trying to maximise every ounce of lap time. Maybe try and find what he couldn't find in the first lap of 7.8. Puts himself just 3 tenths now. Well, less than 3 tenths behind Tony Hirtella, who has done an excellent job to get that time in the early phases. Nelson Alves set 7.8 as well. That's a very decent time from him. Puts himself to P2. Liam Stevens as well, jumping ahead of the Red Bull. And now these drivers are really trying to bring down the times. It's going to be next off. I think it will be Mattia Ramirez. Going to go to the line. 1 minute 8.5. Only goes P12 there for him. A couple other drivers now coming up towards the line to complete their lap. One of them, Gabor Santos, who has invalidated. So it'll be Diego Sorzo next to the line. Only goes 2 tenths quicker. Doesn't improve his position. Puts himself to a 7.9 and is right at the back of the drivers in the 1 minute 7s, and remains in P6. It is getting all exciting now. Drifting into the hairpin. Game is gone. You certainly don't say. That's not. It's not what you would have done a couple of years ago. Really, I mean, to be fair, you probably would have if you're in high was level. But it's not something I would personally want to do. But oh well, it's what the game's decided we're getting, and we're going to have for another year and a half or so yet, because it has been announced as of yesterday that the F1 26 will not be coming out. It will be as a expansion of F1 25. If you have not heard, I'm sure every single person here under the sun has heard this already, but it'll be an expansion of F1 25. Will be the 26 cars, and then 2027 we should have a new F1 game, which is supposed to be significantly better. We'll find out how EA does with that. EA and Codemasters do with that. I think they're trying to merge back the groups, the teams together, because they've been alternating year on year into what teams been developing what games. Has been an alternating thing, and I think they're trying to get the teams back together as one for F1 27. Maybe we use that as the groundwork for the future games as well, if they decide to do that. If they decide to do one game, which would be a very surprising thing from what's it called? From EA, as they love their year-on-year games, and we'll see what that does. Gabor Santos currently not really on a lap, so we'll try Pascal Ranelli, who is coming out the exit of or coming out towards the tunnel now. And can Pascal Ranelli do anything to try and offset that P14 they're currently in? There's quite a few drivers there are only a couple tenths within, so they can certainly make the improvements needed. 200s up as they go into the barrier at to back now, go into Raskas. Can the Ferrari? No, he decides he's just going to back out. That 4 minutes to go in the session. Everyone into the pit lane. As someone does to decide to come out, it is our good man Thomas Ramanen. Always the first to come out the pits, and we love to see it. At least he's giving us something. At least he's kind of perfectly timed it, so then he gets a bit of the spotlight. And the Alpine gonna try and improve their P12 position. Can they get into the top end? 4 drivers will not set lap times in Raz Imtiaz. I'm not Birdzinski, Lucas Shea and Tom Roberts. I do apologise. I'm going to butcher these names every single time. Some of these names. To be fair, is the Mercedes Polish? Because then I can just I can ask. I mean, hold on. What is it? Name? What is he? Sorry, I'll be. Yeah, I knew I'd notice. I've got okay. Good to know. I'm just gonna call him Rosiski because there's a guy I know called Rosiski. So there we go. Anyway, we're gonna go back to the actual action focus. Let's get back into this. Thomas Laminen is now gonna be our first driver to go for a lap as every single person under the sun comes out the pit lane, and Thomas Laminen is gonna have to deal with a little bit of traffic as we go through the lap. DRS enabled for the Alpine. As we go into Sandler and immediately invalidates. And that's a very unfortunate thing for the Alpine. And we're going to have to wait. He's going to have to go around again just to keep the tyres in check and then go again. Instead, it will be Nelson Alves who will be going first in his lap time. Oh, here we go. Final laps of the day for these gentlemen, and they will be pushing the limit and certainly quite a bit more from these drivers. We go into Raskas for the final, preparation for Nelson Alves. As he goes up towards the line, DRS enabled, using up that ERS towards the line. Keeps it as close to the inside line as physically possible before going straight into turn one and going right into the barriers. Potentially, he certainly did not get the run he wanted. So it'll be Liam Stevens who will continue on as we go into the P3 driver. Will be trying to push the car as fast as possible, as there's certainly a number on there. Some people like more than others. Nice people. I don't know if that was before or after the whole thing. Anyway, into the hairpin. Very, very nicely done in terms of the drift. But yeah, that's what we're gonna have to get used to in these sessions. We're gonna go round to through to the tunnel and down towards the Nouvelle Chicane. Can Aston Martin improve their time? And no, they do not. They invalidate their time. So who will be next? It will be Jensen Rosen, who will be the next driver to complete their time, and they've invalidated as well. So we will go to the Ferrari of no, not the Ferrari because they're out lap. It will be Tony Hirtella, who goes into the barriers and is completely retired from the session, and they go into the barriers to back, and then they continue into the Squimpole Chicane, taking off both their tyres as our pole sitter is in the barriers and out. Provisional pole sitter, because we're going to see some drivers trying to improve their lap times. We're going to see it as they try and go through the rest of this session. Is there going to be enough for these drivers to do so? Kendon Lutt will be the first driver to complete a time, currently half a tenth down, or now in personal best goes half a tenth up. Remains P8. Who's going to be next across the line? Larry Tolke has also retired from the session. It will be Tamas. No, it won't be. It'll be Alexis Covero goes to the line, who starts their flying lap. The next few drivers are coming along as well. Luca Rapasso next. No, it'll be Gabor Santos, who's invalidated as well. Mattia Romeri comes to the line to start their flying lap, but they've got damage as well. Gianluca Nolov just goes to P6 for 7.8. So it will be Luca Rapasso, our championship leader, who's invalidated their time, and that is their session done. They go flying into the barriers out of frustration. That is absolutely devastating for the Red Bull, who tried, and they were fastest in sector 2, and they are out the session. Diego Zorzo, P2 man in the standings. Do they have the opportunity to go for pole position? I don't know if they're down. Nelson Alves at 7.5. That goes fastest by just 100th of a second, and these drivers are all done. The Aston Martin of Liam Stevens has crashed out as well, and Diego Zorzo flies over, and I think that is session done, because these drivers have all completed their times and everyone else is not on a lap. Nelson Alves pulls it out the bag with a 7.5 and takes pole position ahead of Tony Hirtella, Liam Stevens, Luca Rapasso, Diego Zorzo, Gianluca Nolfo, Gabor Santos, Pascal Ranelli, Larry Tolke and Kendon Lutt round out our top 10. Lucas Bessina, Thomas Cockney, Jensen Rosen, Thomas Laminen, Mattia Romeri, Alexi Covero, Raz Imitiez, Kurz Biedzinski, yeah, that's it. That's the one. And I didn't see the rest of the grid. We'll go through the rest of it quickly. Lucas Shea and Tom Roberts complete the 20 driver field. This race won't end well. Oh, well, we're about to have at least a laugh throughout it, I guess. Well, you won't, but you won't, Rolly, but I certainly will have a little bit of fun with it. 5,000 separate Nelson Alves and Tony Hietala. The rest of the field just looks a bit like this. Don't even want to look at race director, do we? Yeah, there's a lot of invalidations. There's a lot of invalidations for a circuit that don't really have much in terms of track limits. Anyway, that is that. That's the wrong one. Yeah, that's cool. We're going to keep an eye on this. We're going to have to do a bit of adjustment on everything as well. But that is session over. And we will be going into our 39 lap race. And boy, oh boy, I hope certain drivers at least have a better race setup than they do quality setup. Do we put me on? I'm sure as hell for some of these drivers with how their brake bias is. Sure as hell hope we don't. Some of these drivers' brake bias, rear brake bias is too far. And they're just literally, I know it's the fastest, but it is too far gone for some of these drivers. And they're literally like spinning around at the hairpin where they shouldn't really be doing in the best of times anyway. What are my thoughts on the EA announcement? Oh, that's a good one. So, I personally think it's a good idea. 25 is at least a better game than 24 in terms of in terms of extending the year life cycle. At least 25's, you know, for some drivers, or at least for the general community, is better. Say, for example, we went to 26 and the game is absolutely awful. We're going to go with that word. We're going to go... Then you do the 2 year thing, and then you completely kill off your fan base. I think they've done it at the right time in terms of at least their fan base at least the game is in a decent enough state. Yes, it's got its issues. It has a lot of issues, but but we've seen a lot worse from these. I've seen a lot worse from Codemasters. So it can work, it might not, but we're going to go to our lap race and everyone's going to start getting started. We go into turn 1 and Nelson Alves continues to lead the way ahead of Tony Hietala. I forgot there wasn't a formation up. And Liam Stevens in P3, Luca Rapassa in P4, Diego Zorzo in P5, and Nelson Alves continues to lead the way as the 20 car field continues to stream down. 10-second time penalty for Ramis Imtieza. Again, the 10-second time penalty for gaining 1 place off the line of a corner cutting. Drivers are fighting through this section now. It is absolute chaos 2x2 in Monaco. Like it's Noah's Ark. Larry Tolke drops down. Does he drop down? Yes, he drops down behind Pascal Ranelli. Gabor Santos jumps up ahead of Kenton Luck. And we're going to see these drivers continue to fight massive load of oversteer on the entry into the corner. And it's a bit of a spinner. And that's a Mercedes who's gone round. And that is absolutely devastating for Biedzinski. Lucas Bessina also, I think, caught up in that one as well. These drivers, it's going to be absolute chaos here. Be very careful as they go through to end that one. And it's a good job from the driver so far. Not somehow, despite the spinners and collisions. Yeah, I've not got a safety car. Drivers coming to the pit lane already. Yeah, you've got to remember, do two stops. Someone will pick that one for sure. Certainly someone has already, and they've retired. So Matteo Romeri didn't even want to even take an opportunity to do that. I'm saying, oh, Christ, 2 drivers retiring instantly. That is, I mean, you've got to continue with this. I mean, unless you have some sort of rear wing damage, which potentially some of the drivers could have had. One of the drivers could have had. You don't really want to be doing that. Anyway, continuing on, Nelson Alves leads the way ahead of Tony Hietala, Liam Stevenson P3, Luca Passo P4, and Diego Zorzo P5. It remains the same for the top 5, but everything else happened behind, and we are going to get every single awful camera angle under the sun as we watch through, as Diego Zorzo has a bit of a train behind him. Currently, the P5 man has Pascal Ranelli and Larry Tolke, Cabros Santos, and Kendon Lutt, as well as the rest of the field, all within 1 second behind them, and lost a fair bit of pace in comparison to the top 4 in front. At the rate we're going, we might be done by that. We'll find out. Hopefully not for some of these drivers. But Nelson Alves continues on to lead the way by half a second over Tony Hertella, who did not complete a final run, get a final run in. They got damaged. They ended up in the barriers and retired from the session on their final Q3 lap. Certainly, the top three have good pace here. Luca Rapace just dropping outside of that DRS window, but maintaining some sort of pace with the top three. The rest of the field are trying to work something out. Lucas Bessina, I believe, came into the pit lane and is starting to really start and get a bit of a gap between them and the rest of the field. Meanwhile, the rest of the field are just threading their way through now, just trying to maintain car control. These cars are on a knife's edge in terms of setup, because that's how they need to be quick around Monaco. And these drivers, they went from hitting a wall at every single opportunity in qualifying to now got to keep it clean because they don't want to damage their car too much and damage their wheels. Larry Tolkienk goes into the barrier, gets a bit of that percentage on his tyres, and in comes Larry Tolkienk himself to come and sit a new set of tyres. Decides to get out of that train, doesn't have any damage. This is a legitimate pit stop for the Alpine, and he now continues on his way on a set of hard compound tyres, looking to maybe go longer on this stint here when they've got some clean air. However, they've got to be careful to get out ahead of Lucas Bessina, who is going to come out in front of the Alpine by a good couple of seconds. Yes, the Alpine will have a little bit of clean air. However, it will be soon to catch Lucas Bessina if he, who was already pitted, I do believe. If we take a look, no, he hasn't. He must have had a disconnection or something. But we continue on. Nelson Alves leads the way ahead of Tony Hertella. These drivers are now just trying to settle themselves into some form of rhythm. Matthias Carr did a whole sector before retiring. I'm surprised we even got that far. So we continue on now through the rest of the lap. For lap 4 of 39, Nelson Alves comes into the pit lane. First driver Tony Hertella follows him, and this is going to be a battle of the pit crews here between the Haas and the Williams. They're both going to be trying to get out in front of one another. Can Tony Hertella jump the Williams? Not quite. He is just very close. Second time penalty for Lucas Shea for speeding in the pit lane. Very unfortunate there for the Sauber. But we're going to come out of our two race leaders coming out in P13 and P14, coming in early. That is a very interesting sign from these two, considering they already had a gap to the rest of the field. Yes, they don't want to be worried about being undercut, but they don't want to catch this pack when Liam Stevens and Luca Rapace both have some. Have a bit of space between, a bit of battling over back between Kendon Lutt, Tamas and Thomas Laminen as they go side by side. Kendon Lutt moves up to P5 head of Thomas Laminen and Tamas, as Tamas drops down 2 positions, I do believe, from this, maybe even more. Thomas Laminen's in the wall! He's in the wall, and that is devastating. There's someone else off the circuit as well. I believe that was Tamas who went off, but he has full front wing damage, and that is actually devastating for the Alpine, who, yeah, just is now stuck there. I believe they just have left the session at this stage, and they've disqualified for being parked in a dangerous location. But that is our first major incident of the session. We're going to see as everyone comes into the pit lane. Thomas Laminen is out of the session and becomes our third person gone from this race. The rest of the field are now pulling their way into the pit lane and trying to get themselves sorted for the rest of this race. Midnight hours for the Monaco Grand Prix, and the drivers are really trying to deal with the cooling conditions as well as the difficulty of this circuit. But we can continue on. That was a big accident between the drivers, and very unlucky for Thomas Laminen and Tamas, who both were involved in that. Kendon Lutt, I believe, was involved a little bit as well. Gabo Santos is retired from how is he retired? He's clipped the wall. He's clipped the wall on the entry to the Nouvelle chicane, and that is absolutely devastating for the Red Bull, who was sitting in P4 at this stage in the race. Yes, people had pitted, but he was running P7 before all the pit stops, and and that is devastating. Liam Stevens comes into the pit lane to fit a new set of tyres, and these drivers are going to be trying to do a game of survival, if anything, as the next load of drivers all pitting. They're all pitting early for their first stops. They're trying to go longer on these hard tyres. Meanwhile, Luca Rapassa leading the way. Diego Zorzo in 3.4 back. These two championship leaders. They're maybe playing the longer game, maybe just going to hold out as long as they physically can. But all the drivers continue to battle further down the order. We're going to see as it is going to be Tom Roberts and Nelson Alves diving up the inside. Massive dive bomb. Tom Roberts didn't see that one coming. He dives, make the move stick on the Ferrari. The Williams up to P6. Tom Roberts is now also going to have to do some defending from Tony Hietala. As the Haas is going to try and find their way past the Scuderia, but cannot find their way past the manufacturing engine team, while the customer engineering team is going to try and find their way by down into the Nouvelle chicane, tries to go around the outside, locks up the brakes. They're going to cut across the chicane to try and make it work, and he gets the move done. But is there going to be any sort of penalty there from the Haas as we continue on through the rest of the lap? Chicane of death is certainly going to become like that if these drivers are racing as hard and as fast as they are right now. Diving up the inside, it's going to be Nelson Alves, well, around the outside on well, now pitting Alexi Corvero. Nelson Alves moves up to P5. Tony Alves is going to be not Tony Alves, Christ, Tony Hietala is going to be right up behind him, as now they catch up to the Williams of Jenson Rosen. It's just under 7 tenths ahead of them now. And we are now going to continue on through towards the end of lap, through lap 8 now, as Luca Rapassa has a very easy time of things at the moment. In terms, well, I say easy, it's a very difficult circuit, but in terms of clean air and everything, yes, he's going longer, but he's maybe hoping to keep that nose clean through traffic. Jenson Rosen is defending for his life, but if you are the teammate of Nelson Alves, you will be wanting to try and let him by as quickly as possible. Up the inside goes Nelson Alves, diving through goes Tony Hietala, trying to make the move stick. Meanwhile, Liam Stevens moves his way past Tom Roberts as we go into P7. See Williams and Nelson Alves moves up to P4. Tony Hietala stuck down in P6 behind the Williams teammate of Nelson Alves, as Jenson Rosen moves to the inside. He has damaged the Haas, moves up to P5. Tony Hietala keeps himself in line of Nelson Alves as Reyes Imtia. Oh, Christ, my language is awful at the moment. The Aston Martin, the Aston Martin, there we go, is going to come into the pit lane as Jenson Rosen lets a couple drivers go by, but he's not really smart when your teammate is just up the road and is trying to get a gap between them, or maybe not, but we'll find if that, but I'm sure they're not too fussed. Lucas Bessina retires in the pit lane. Comes our 5th retirement in nearly as many laps, as we continue on to see Pascal Ranelli try and get past Larry Tolke, as well as Larry Tolke trying to get past Tom Roberts. Tom Roberts is trying to get past Jenson Rosen. They're all in a 4-car train right now, and this is going to be exciting for these drivers who are going to be trying to push themselves to find a way by. They're all stuck up in this train right now. A bit of a ghost moment for Larry Tolke. Pascal Ranelli not able to take advantage at this point in the race, but these drivers are really trying to make sure they gain everything. As another driver comes into the pit lane, it's Diego Zorzo who comes into the pit lane. The Mercedes driver will drop down behind behind the Ferrari, potentially behind Kendon Lutt as well. Yes, he will. He'll come up behind the Haas of Kendon Lutt, who is currently in P9. Now the Mercedes in P10. Oh, here you go. Pascal Ranelli up the inside into the casino section and makes the move stick against the Alpine, and the Ferrari up to P7. And that's probably the greatest overtake we've had so far. But anyway, we're going to see a dive bomb up the inside. Contact with the Williams of Jenson Rosen. The Ferrari still side by side in Monaco through the hairpin and continues on as we go onto the exit. Down through the tunnel we go. Can he make the move stick? Or not? Can he make the move stick again at some point into the Nouvelle chicane? Not quite here. He doesn't make any opportunity at that. However, the Ferrari of Tom Roberts hits the back maybe of Jenson Rosen, or he had the bit of rear end loss on the entry, and that could have been opportunity for Ranelli to try and get by, but Ranelli could not manage it. As we go through towards the chicane and up towards Raskas, these drivers are really trying to push the edges at the moment. They're all trying to find their way by. This is the closest battle on track. Yes, you've got a battle B2 between Nelson Alves and Tony Hurtella, but they've got those drivers there. They're not going to be trying to break the limits either, as there's a yellow flag with Tamas Cockney. I should say, actually, as we now go to the inside. It's deja vu for Pascal Ranelli. He dives it up the inside in casino section. Such strength in that area. Later on the brakes, better turning, and he gets the move done into P6 for the Ferrari. He into the back of Jensen Rosen, who has damage. He's really struggling. He's causing a bit of a queue here before the Ferraris, the Alpine, the Haas, and soon Mercedes, who's going to be joining them. But can Pascal Ranelli get the move done? He's going to be trying everything to get past this Williams as quickly as possible, because he needs to build a gap to the rest of the field. He's going to go up the inside into the Nouvelle chicane. Jensen Rosen backs out of that one. He doesn't want any part in that monstrosity, of any sort of monstrosity that is going to happen at the Nouvelle chicane, or as it's renamed, the chicane of death. Pascal Ranelli is going to continue his way into the Nouvelle chicane, but our race leader, Luca Rapace, is a 13.9 second gap over Nelson Alves. Nelson Alves, though, has already done his pit stop. Luca Rapace at this stage will probably come out in around this group here of P5 to P9, maybe a couple sections ahead. We don't know, but he's got. He might actually just come ahead of Pascal Ranelli at this stage, but Pascal Ranelli is going to get the foot down now. But all the rest of these drivers are going to start. We're going to see Kendall and Tom Roberts going side by side as we go into the hairpin. They went through it casino. They're going side by side. Here comes Diego Zorzo. He's going to try and make a move up the inside there. They're going to have to try everything as we go into the hairpin. Diego Zorzo trying to go around the outside and couldn't quite, now could just about quite get that done on the Kenton Lutt. And the Haas has to settle for P9 for the time being, as a Mercedes is now right on the back of Tom Roberts, trying to get past as quickly as possible. The P2 man in the standings will be on the hunt against these drivers. He picked a couple laps later, so he does have the fresher set of tyres, but he does have a lot of overtaking to do into back, and that's an excellent move from the Mercedes. A rarity, you see him move into the back, and then on the exit of the back, you see Kendon get past Tom Roberts. The Ferrari, it goes down 2 positions in the space of about 2 corners. And what have you missed? A lot. You've missed a lot, as these drivers are continuing to fight as Tom Roberts comes into the pits for a second stop in this race. Meanwhile, Diego Zorzo looks to dive it up the inside on Jensen Rosen, who hasn't made a stop yet. Diego Zorzo moves up to P6 in this race, and we're on lap 13 of 39. And for the Mercedes now moved his way into some clean air, and he's now going to be trying to hunt down Pascal Ranelli and potentially look to hunt down the top 3 in terms of pit stops, because Luca Rapace yet to make a stop yet. If we quickly go to our pit stops, only 2 drivers have not made a stop yet. 1 driver has made 2 already. Luca Rapace, 3-second time penalty. Our race leader at this stage is becomes, I think, the 3rd driver with a time penalty. Yes, he does. And Lucas Shea has 10. Rise Imitia gets 1 as well, as Kendon Lutt moves up to P7 ahead of Jensen Rosen. Jensen Rosen really struggling, considering they haven't made a stop yet. They have damage as well, and everyone is starting to try and pile through. They're trying to do something different to everyone else in the field, but at the moment with that damage it is certainly not helping them. As around the outside tries Lucas Shear, doesn't quite make them work. Jensen Rosen, with respect to his course, some excellent racing here. He comes into it for his first stop. Meanwhile, Nelson Alves leads the way ahead of Luca Rapace leads the way ahead of Nelson Alves, who has stopped. Tony Hurtella and Liam Stevens have both stopped as well. We're going to go down to the battle for P9. Lucas Shear, Gianluca Nolfo, trying to make something there way cleaner than I expected. I mean, that's saying something for Monaco. But these are X1 drivers, so you'd expect them to at least have some, being a lot more confident than your average Joe. But these drivers, Gianluca Nolfo is going to try and make his way past Lucas Chies. Luca Rapace comes into the pit lane for his first stop. Will he come out ahead of Pascal Ranelli, or will he come out behind? He will certainly come out behind the top 2nd through 4th at the moment, as Alexei Covero gets a 3-second time penalty down in P11 at the moment, just on the fringes of the points. However, that is not the most ideal thing for him. We're going to see Gianluca Lolfo join him as well, so it becomes a 4-driver parade for penalties down there in P9 to P12. Luca Rapasso comes out well clear of Pascal Ranelli. And now we're going to continue through the rest of this race, and we're going to go to Larry Tolke, who is currently leading the group of Lucas Shea, Gianluca Lolfo, and Alexi Cavero, currently a battle for P8. As Cavero is just entering this group now. As we see Larry Tolke having to do a bit of a disconnection there for the Alpine, and they've got damage, I've just noticed, on both end plates of their front wing, and that is a very, very unhappy Alpine, if anything. But he continues on to stay ahead of Lucas Shea, who just has to sit back behind, while at McLaren we've got all sorts of colours here. We've got a pink, blue, pink and blue, green, orange. We've got every single thing under the rainbow. We're going to see Gianluca Lolfo try and make a move on Lucas Shea around the outside into the Nouvelle chicane, but couldn't quite do anything. He backs out of that one before even taking an opportunity at going into the braking zone. We are now Lucas Shea goes right against the wall. These 4 drivers, 4 different teams, trying to battle it out for P8. Larry Tolke without a penalty, and they're all right up the back of the Alpine at this stage, who is just being pushed around the corners at the moment. And we go through to the end of lap 15 for these drivers. It's lap 16. We've still got over half the race to go for all of these. And we're going to see Tom Roberts get past Reyes Imtiaz in P13. Imtiaz, that's the one. Imtiaz. Try and get used to the name. I've said it about different every single time. But Tom Roberts up to P12 ahead of the Aston Martin. We're going to go through to the slowest corner of the circuit. All 4 drivers basically pushing each other through there. But we're going to have to take a look at the battle for the lead. We've got Nelson Alves, Tony Hirtella, Liam Stevens, and Luca Rapasso. Luca Rapasso is right on the back of Liam Stevens. He came to the pits a lot later. He's on the medium compound tyres as Luca Rapasso looks to go for a move into Raskas. Back decides better of it. He's going to use the DRS, use the run, use the traction. Extra bit of traction he has on the fresher, newer and softer compound tyres. Uses the cutback, and Liam Stevens gets caught out by it. The Red Bull moved by, and an excellent move from Luca Rapasso. Put that in your show reel, because that Red Bull is flying right now. Because now we go down towards the hairpin for the 17th time in this race, and a dive bomb from Luca Rapasso into the slowest corner on the circuit, and he just doesn't quite make anything work there, but he goes anyway. We now head into the tunnel. Can he take the opportunity to get by the Haas? He does so. He moves up into P2, and this overcut strategy is starting to look like it's worked out for him. He's got that 3-second time penalty he's got to take care of as Tom Roberts comes into the pit lane and becomes our 6th retirement of the session. Harry not making any friends today. He certainly is not in down the MPA, but he's certainly holding his own damage. Luca Rapasso is on a charge for trying to get his 3rd race win of the season. I think 3rd win in a row as well. Lucas Shea gets another 3-second time penalty down there in P11. Meanwhile, Nelson Alves has also got a 3-second time penalty of his own. So in the battle for the race lead, it has both got time penalties as we come under VSC conditions for Lucas Shea, who's just binned it off at to back. We're not really going to get an opportunity to see a camera angle to that because James Rosen just got by. And the Sauber becomes our 7th retirement and our first VSC of the session, which we're 18 laps in, which is quite a surprise. So there we go. We're going to continue on now through the rest of this stint. With everyone just trying to work everything out a little bit, and everyone trying to cool their tyres down, trying to get themselves drive through penalty for Nelson Alves, speeding on the VSC, and Nelson Alves has allowed Luca Rapasso through. Meanwhile, Tony Hirtella is going to go side by side with Liam Stevens into the Nouvelle chicane. That is tight, ladies and gentlemen, and Liam Stevens moves into P3 ahead of Tony Hirtella. Nelson Alves drive through penalty, and that is crucial for this race. as well. Nelson Albert will be infuriated with that one. He'll drop down to at least P6, maybe P11 when he comes into the pit lane, and he will serve that drive through. But that is devastating for the Williams as we continue on through the rest of the race. But Luca Rapassa takes the lead of the race. He's on the medium compound of tyres, and now it's a 2.3 second lead. That overcut certainly worked for the Red Bull, and Luca Rapassa he once again showing his almighty stranglehold over this league, as we now enter with 13 drivers left in the running, and and everyone now a little bit more spread out. So after 19 laps of very, very close action, Liam Stevens and Tony Chiatella remaining very close still. Luca Rapassa, though, once again leading the way, and this is an excellent job there from the Red Bull. The Aston Martin of Liam Stevens and Tony Chiatella in the Haas, trying to make ground and trying to minimise loss on these hard compound tyres in comparison to Luca Rapassa. But if I believe Luca Rapassa will go on to a set of mediums to end this race, whereas these guys will also do so, but that will nullify anything as Tony Chiatella looking to maybe do the undercut. He will have 19 laps to do on a set of tyres. What tyres he go on to? He's going on to the hards. So he's deciding medium, hard is the best strategy for him. As the Aston Martin of MTS gets another 3 second time penalty to add to their name, but at the moment, with the way the flies are dropping, it could certainly end up in points no matter what for some of these. It will certainly end up in points no matter what for these drivers. I think it's down to 15th. Remember, top 15 get points, only 13 drivers left, so all these drivers will be getting points. That's why the drivers need to stick into this race and continue on pushing. You can get more and more. You can still get something out of this, even if you're right down the back end of the field, because anything can happen around Monaco. You're on lap 20 of 39. We are over halfway through this race, and these drivers are pushing the boundaries. Diego Zorzo is right on the back of Pascal Ranelli for now P3 in this race, and Diego Zorzo is going to be trying to hunt down the Ferrari and get past him, because at the moment the championship leader is flying out in front, currently nearly a 6 second gap to Liam Stevens in P2, and these drivers are not slouches, but Luca Rapassa is doing everything he needs to do to get himself. And Liam Stevens gets a 3 second time penalty as Pascal Ranelli comes into the pit lane. MTS gets a 10 second corner cutting penalty, and that is very unfortunate there for the Aston Martin. And we now see a couple more drivers come into the pit lane. Gianluca Lolfo is going to come out right next to Pascal Ranelli as Imtiaz comes into the pit lane to become a 8th retirement of the session. Gianluca Lolfo unable to get past Pascal Ranelli on pit exit, so the Ferrari maintains P6 at this stage. And as a set, Diego's also free off to Liam Stevens. A lot of drivers still yet to pit. We're going to go into our we'll say that only 5 drivers left to knock the pit lane, the top 4 included, and Gianluca Rinaldo all yet to pit. But with 18 laps to go, we are heading into the second third of the race, and it looks like that Tony Chiatella is right on the back of Kendon Lutt, his teammate. Can the Haas find his way by as Kendon Lutt decides to come into the pit, make his second stop of the race? And now that moves Tony Chiatella up to P4. Luca might actually get a free stop. He probably will, because Liam Stevens and Diego's also yet to pit, and by the looks of it, Tony Chiatella is outside of his pit window. It is all depending on what else occurs and how long Luca takes to pit, because at the moment with Tony down there in P4, Nelson Alves in P8, Diego's also and Liam Stevens also needing to pit, Luca Rapassa has done everything he needs to, a 7.8 second gap to Liam Stevens, and the Red Bull has done absolutely everything. How does one get a 10 second corner cutting penalty? Cutting the Nouvelle chicane. I've learned this myself. If you cut the Nouvelle chicane, just go straight across it. Like, say for example, you're taking the old line from back in the 50s and 60s, how the old chicane was, except there isn't the barrier so close. If you just took it like that and took it straight to the back, you get a 10-second time penalty. So yeah, all fun and games here in this world. Liam Stevens comes into the pit lane to serve his second stop. Luca Rapassa is going to come into also going to pit lane, didn't take any notice of that, and Tony Hietala comes out in P2, and that Red Bull has just lost out on position, and only just the Haas has reclaimed. It is now net race lead because Diego Zorzo is yet to pit, and now Luca Rapassa is going to have to do a little bit of overtaking here, and with both drivers with Tony only having been on those tyres for 3 laps, that advantage that Luca Rapassa had in the second stint will not be replicated in the third. And now we're going to see Luca Rapassa, who also has that 3-second time penalty, now need to get by and create a gap. Yes, he's got quite a few laps to do it, but it is Monaco. It is with a less of a tyre advantage at this stage. Doing the alternate strategy has worked to allow him to get the P2 on the road once Diego Zorzo, well, T2 provisionally once Diego Zorzo pits, but it is certainly now left him with a bit of a difficult decision on trying to get past Tony Hietala, a driver who is only 26 points back in the standings. He wants to try and increase that gap a bit, but if Tony Hietala can do a bit of a centre against Mansell defence, he certainly will not make this easy for the Red Bull. But Luca Rapassa looking to the inside, Tony Hietala defending with all his might as they go into the wall. Luca Rapassa and Tony Hietala collide, and Luca Rapassa ends up damage and flies into Tony Hietala, and that is absolutely ridiculous. From what have we just seen from the from Luca Rapassa there, completely lost his cool and flies into Tony Hietala, taking them both out of the race, and 2 championship contenders are completely gone from that one. Luca Rapassa, Christ on a bike. That's all I can say to that. I assume the whole admin team watching, plus me. That one's going to be an interesting one to call. Generational crash out. Yeah, I don't know what to say to that. Christ. I'm a man of many words in this place, and Nelson Alves has quit as well. He's decided to retire from this session. Down, and I don't know where he was. He was down in he was at least in points. So Christ, we're now down to 9 drivers after all that. Oh, that was a generational crash out from there. Right. Well, anyway, Diego Zorzo and Liam Stevens comes into pits to retire as well, and has left the session. Christ. A lot of drivers have just decided they won't want a part in this anymore. And we've just lost about 4 drivers in the space of about 2 laps. Right, well, a lap, really. So that leaves us with 8 drivers left. I'm not sure exactly what happened to Liam. I'm assuming he just quit out of that. Oh, that's amazing. Get that on you. Yeah, 250 quid in the bag. I'll be sending that to Harry Hill. Thank you. Oh my Christ. I don't know where to go from there. Jaeger's also leads. Christ. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Liam Stevens. Sorry, I'm just kind of flabbergasted. I'm kind of watching. Tony Hietala and Luca Rapassa exchanging blows. If you're on the admin team, I'll keep an eye on that one a little bit in X1 chat. Christ, yeah. So we're down to like 7 drivers now. I I say admin team. I'm literally on it as well. Christ, I forget about that. Yeah, so I do apologise. That's kind of taken me into a bit of. I've got shit. Oh Christ! Diego's also leads the way. Pascal Renelli, Alexi Cavero, Larry Tolke, Kenton, Jensen Rosen, Gianluca Nolfo, Tamas Kokone, all in the race, and all our top 8 left with 13 laps to go. Yeah, Luca Rapassa completely banned from that. That's a understandable thing from Rowley. Well done. Cheers, good job, Rowley. I mean, that's a bit. I'm sorry if you're. Whatever way you look at that incident, if you are, I'm going to put this from this here or there. Whatever way you look at it, if you look at that incident as in away from the incident, whatever happens, whoever's fault it is, do not. If you get damaged like that, just crash. Don't crash out. Liam Stevens just retired because I think he might have had damage. Okay, fair enough. Okay, I mean, if you've got damage like that, and if you've got difficult damage or whatever, then fair enough. Yeah, so we're going to get underway again. I'm going to refocus, and I do apologise to everyone for the brief, basically nothing happening for about a few minutes. Right, Leo's also leads the way ahead of Pascal Renelli. Pascal Renelli's deciding to do a bit of Max Verstappen 2021 Abu Dhabi to the Mercedes. I'm going to keep on going. Diego's also Pascal Renelli going to go into turn 1, and Diego's also 10-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags. That is ridiculous. He done that? He was leading the way. Okay, cool. Anyway, Diego's also leads the way. Pascal Renelli, Alexi Corvero, Larry Tolke, Kenton, Jensen Rosen, Gianluca Nolfo, Tamas Kokone. We're all going to keep going, and we're all going to see how this cracks on. Christ, This is Division 1. They're going to see it as Diego's also. Oh, let's see. I don't think this place is going to peak. You might actually get that. Might actually get that win. Kendon Nutt's retired. Oh, safety car. I didn't even notice he's damaged his front car and he's completely taken himself out of the race. Kendon Nutt out of the race on the exit of the Nouvelle Chicane. I assume he's done that. Christ. Yeah, right. Yeah. So safety car again. Diego's also Pascal Renelli, Alexi Corvero, Larry Tolke, Jensen Rosen. Larry Tolke comes into the pit lane. Please do not become another retirement. You guys got points to deal with here. 3 drivers actually coming into the pits for a new set of tyres. Interesting. So they're trying to change it up a little bit. Bear in mind the RBs are now double stacking, so that's going to be an interesting decision. So we've got 7 drivers left in this race, and the A is also Pascal. It has a 10-second time penalty, 6-second time penalty for Gianluca Nolfo, and Alexi Cavero 3 seconds. Everyone's gaining positions in this, but there's a lot of retirements, so yeah. It can't go on like this, can it? It can, it will. Right, I don't know how much I'm going to say here about getting us in trouble, so I'm going to keep those jokes to one side. Diego's also is leading the way, and I believe is now, after a ban for Luca Rapassa, is now by far the championship leader, and unfortunately for Tony Herdella, he will not be tied on points with by any stretch of imagination with Diego's also, but it depends on how this 10-second time penalty fares. If he got that 10-second time penalty due to that interesting side-by-side moment with Pascal Renelli, then I don't know what these guys do with that. I don't know how he got that. That is interesting. It's still baffling. It's only I think it could have got it. But anyway, we're going to go on to lap 29 of 39. And still in the safety car period. And there's all sort of chaos happens in the X1 chat. MTS is now picking on Liam Stevens because he wanted to join in. It could apparently you can bit Pascal, yeah, so it goes great. If you are willing, if you are looking to race in EXA and you are willing to join in all this fun, and we'll call it fun. We're just gonna call it fun. Whether you're in Division 1 to Division 4, you will have a great time. Whether you're arguing with people or having good racing, you will get some good racing when it's not where. But I wonder. I do wonder if Rowley and Co. If you just decided that Monaco, you wanted chaos. You decided it would be a script. It would be. It's a bit like YouTuber Championship where they decided Monaco would be a good point for a script reset. And I feel like this race has decided that we're going to have a script reset for more than one driver. We're about to find out whether that script reset is going to have an effect on Diego's. Also, in more than just discapacity, because that 10-second time penalty is certainly looming heavily at this stage in the race. I'm hoping telemetry is still working. Oh, yeah, it is certainly still working. Everything is still working. And we're going to continue on. Cool. Diego's also leads the way ahead of Pascal Ranelli, Larry Tolke, Gianluca Nolfo, Jensen Rosin, Alexi Cavero, and Tamas Kokone. Only RB have 2 drivers left in this race, so he can only go one way or the other, really. Diego's also leads the way by now over a second margin as he gets an excellent restart. However, the drivers behind in 5th to 7th are going to be looking to try and use their tyre advantage, or even Gianluca Nolfo, who has a tyre advantage. Yes, he's a couple laps older, but he barely got a lap in on those tyres before we had another safety car. So he's going to be looking to try and get past Larry Tolke and Pascal Ranelli as quickly as possible. He could still be on for this race win if he can get past these drivers. Any of these drivers can be, if that 10-second time penalty for Diego's also remains. And now we're going to go through into the back. No one crashing this time yet. Lovely. Into the St Paul chicanes, and now out into Rascasse we go. Can the McLaren find his way by? Not quite. He's trying to do the cut underneath. He can't quite do it there. The cars are so heavy nowadays that it's very difficult for them to manage that. So now Gianluca Nolfo is trying everything they physically can to try and get past Larry Tolke. Larry Tolke has certainly enjoyed a bit of a trolley train this session, because he's had at least 4 cars behind him in this race so far at all times anyway, all lining up to overtake him. Larry is trying everything here. He tries ahead of Gianluca Nolfo, who is also trying to stay ahead of Jensen Rosen. And at the moment, these drivers are just fighting over what will be a podium place. Gianluca Nolfo needs to try and get a move on here because he's got a second time penalty, and that is going to loom large by the time we get to the end of this race. We are in the closing stages, so he doesn't exactly have long in terms of Monaco terms. About 10 minutes, really, he's got now. Like, that's not long. He's got to try and find a way by around the tightest circuit on the calendar as quickly as possible without crashing, please. We can't do another one. Diego's also is trying everything to try and pull that gap to Pascal Ranelli. 2.8 seconds, nearly 3 seconds by the end of lap 31. We're going on to lap 32 now. Larry Tolke earns himself a 3-second time penalty himself. So now it is game on time penalties as well. Jensen Rosen right now is in the prime position for a podium spot. Tamas Kokone also in P7 could get a P4 and maybe a podium out this as well if Jensen Rosen gets a penalty as well. All these drivers are absolutely trying their hardest to try and find a way by, but around this circuit it is all but easy. Next 2 races, the next one. Oh, got it? Oh, that's not wanted. Christ. Okay, well, thank you. Well, that's my next 2 weeks made free. Next 2 weeks will be cancelled for this. Tom said it best. No point driving in that. Well, unfortunately, gents, that you've made that for yourself. Next 2 races in X1 have been cancelled. So if you want to watch some racing in the EXA, X3 and X4, X2 hopefully, that's been cancelled about 3 weeks now, will be on next week. We're going to continue advertising, I guess, because even though Alexi Cavero and Gianluca Lolfo are having an absolute whale of a time, oh my Christ, gentlemen. Oh, very, very tight contact, but certainly was all good fun racing there. But the next 2 races have been cancelled for Austria and Canada. Unfortunately, no, those Pascal Minelli's retired on the entry into. Oh my God, that is devastating for the Ferrari, who had a comfortable P2. He's out the race. Oh my Christ, on a bike, and that's Pascal Minelli out the race. He's clipped the wall in the Nouvelle Chicane, and that's another driver out the race. And a podium, maybe even a race win, depending on Zorzo's penalty, out the window. So that leaves us with Diego Zorzo leading away by 9 seconds over Larry Tolkett. Jenson Rosen in P3. Alexi Cavero, Gianluca Nolfo, and Thomas Cockney. And now, oh Christ, well, I mean, it's very disappointing that, and unfortunately, that is a bit of devastating luck for these drivers, and unfortunately, things have just happened. And the people who are still racing now, obviously, these guys are very good. A lot of these guys are very good drivers. Let's compare up the inside into the Nouvelle Chicane. Larry Tolkien gets a 3-second time penalty for Jensen Rosen coming up the inside there into the Nouvelle Chicane and completes the move into the back. Unfortunately, that was a very, very ballsy move, and they both it came out the other way around anyway. Larry Tolkien now down to P3, Alexi Cavero in P4, Gianluca Nolfo in P5. Christ, this is one of them races, isn't it? Can Jensen Rosen actually get in that 10-second region of Diego Zorzo? It is a very, very difficult race, this one, to accommodate over, knowing that we know now. Alexi Cavero moves up to P3 and Larry Tolkien down to P4. Larry Tolkien is now going to have Gianluca back behind him in the McLaren after a couple of laps of not seeing the McLaren directly in his mirrors. And now we continue on with just 4.5 laps remaining, really. And these 6 remaining drivers just counted down the laps. Well, I say counted down. These 4 here, not 5 here, really not counting down the laps, are they? They're all trying to really push the limits. Thomas Cockney has a bit of damage to that front wing. And it is certainly become a very difficult race for some. Gianluca Nolfo trying to dive it up the inside of Larry Tolkien could not quite manage that one there, as the Alpine Ghosts, I think, for clipping the wall. I'm not sure, but we're going to continue on to lap 36 of 39. And Christ, what a race it's been. I mean, we've been back for one race and it's been Monaco, so what did we expect? Personally, I don't think it is a. Personally, I think a lot of it has been down to Monaco, a part of it, but certain drivers, unfortunately, have ruined it for others. So, unfortunately, that is, and those few incidents we've had have cost us. So we're going to see as Alexi Cavero earns himself a 3-second time penalty, currently in P3, and a 6 seconds for the free of Alexei Cavero, Larry Tolke, and now Jerno Kudnofo, who now has a 9-second time penalty. Tamas Kukuni is currently in position to get a podium here on penalties, and with 3 laps to go, he just needs to hold on, I think, at the moment, because these drivers are really, really trying to now get themselves out of that 6-second window and try and keep their positions. Don't put Monaco on the calendar. Simple. I mean, I'm going to ask this, and I want to know genuinely from the team that is in here. Was Monaco? Were we being hopeful with Monaco, or was it just being wreckfest? I would love to know. I don't know. It is always going to end badly, but unfortunately, I don't think it is. I mean, there's some drivers here that unfortunately have had genuine retirements for like genuine issues. Fair enough. Some people have had genuine damage, and some people just couldn't drive the car anymore. Okay, but then there's been there's been an incident or two that have completely ruined it for everyone. So, I think this race will be very much blacked out in terms of the memory of what we want EXA to be, and I hope from this point onward we kind of move forward from this, because this is a good league. It is a lot of good souls in this league. Like some of these people I've seen like in the last couple of races, and how like there's some absolutely good souls in this league and in this tier, but unfortunately we've got some that ruin it for others, and it doesn't, I don't think, help with how highly competitive these drivers may be, and unfortunately tensions do boil over, but unfortunately they boiled over to the extreme today, and whatever way you look at it, it is not what we stand for at the end of the day. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully we've got some good bunch, and hopefully these drivers will come back from this, and we'll see what happens. The next 2 weeks will be cancelled as far as we're aware, unless things change. Is the track with the least instant tickets in when we've raced previous seasons. I mean, fair. I mean, but to be honest, I think that's a lot of people just deciding they cannot be asked, or they're just crashing by themselves. So, I mean, I don't know. Still, compared to some of you, so I don't know how long you've been here, Chaz, personally. I don't know how long some of these guys have been. Like, some of you guys have probably been here a hell of a lot longer than I have. But, I think these drivers need to, I think at the end of the day, tensions boil over. Drivers at this height in terms of league racing, this speed, think they are. Unfortunately, it gets too much sometimes. And anyway, we're gonna get away from that. We're gonna leave that there. That's for another time to discuss in a couple of weeks. Someone who has had a very good race in terms of hasn't put a foot wrong other than whatever happened in that 10-second, has done an excellent job. Comes around the final corner, completes 39 laps of Monaco, and takes victory. It's Diego Zorzo wins in Monaco by a hefty margin. Jensen Rosen has Alexei Cavero right on his back bumper, but Jensen Rosen, no matter what happens to him here, unless he gets some sort of penalty, comes across the line to finish P2, while Alexei Cavero finishes P3, Larry Tolke's 4th, Gianluca Nolfo P5. However, the podium will be all changed about as after penalties, and it will not be Alexei Cavero who gets the final podium spot. It'll be, oh Christ, would help if my thing actually worked. It'll be his teammate. There we go. Any time before Christmas game. There we go. Alexei Cavero. Alexei Cavero, Christ on a bike, my brain's gone. Diego Zorzo wins this race. Pascal Ranelli fastest lap. Alexei Cavero, driver day most overtakes, cleanest driver. Jensen Rosen, congratulations to Jensen on that one. That's a very difficult one to do. But yeah, that's our finishing order. Fastest lap goes to Pascal Ranelli. And that is our race. thank you all for watching. I think I need some time to really talk to some people about this. And I'll be here in a couple of weeks for whatever round it is. I don't know anymore. Thank you all for watching, and